This video is a critique of the coverage of a subject you might have heard of, otherwise you wouldn't find this video. Number one, White House visitor logs voluntarily posted by the administration during Biden's term versus did Trump do that? These are questions that are going to come up, and the reason for frequently asked questions and frequently answered questions is if you are a real journalist at the New York Times or whatever, you would tell us, did Trump make these visitor logs visible? Is it only Biden? Is it filtered in any way? Inquiring minds want to know. These visitor logs show doctors visiting from Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, 4954 North Palma Road, Bethesda, Maryland. Not Bethesda with the Fallout series or whatever. They visited the personal medical unit and residence clinic within the White House. Two are mentioned. One is a cardiologist, Dr. John E. Atwood. Wow, a medical doctor who does cardiology visiting an 80-plus-year-old president. Did he actually visit the president? Did he examine him? The other person is a neurologist named Dr. Kevin Cannard. No Hellraiser references down below in the description or the comment section, please. He has been a part of the White House medical team of doctors even during Donald Trump's reign, all the way back to 2012. But if he visits the building at all, it has to be about him being a Parkinson's expert. What does he actually study? His main discipline is movement disorders. He's a specialist in that. Movement disorders primarily are caused by or are referenced to, in general, almost exclusively the peripheral nervous system, muscle damage, and other causes. And also researched spasticity. You have to look up what a spastic is. And also pain syndromes. He's associated with studies. Again, the journalists don't tell us how many. Was it 1 or 2 studies? Was it years ago? On the early phases of Parkinson's disease being treated with deep brain stimulation therapy and the effects on spasticity, pain syndromes, and movement disorders. He's an expert in movement disorders in people's hands, face, and by nature, speech. He's a neurologist. Vaguely referred to, again, these are voluntarily posted White House visitor logs that should be on some page that no one is giving a link to. No one gave a link to this? Journalism. And they said a doctor who goes there, who's been going there since 2012, including showing up when Trump was in office. Could have only been there because of Parkinson's research that he did on deep brain stimulus to therapeutically help people with it after they've been diagnosed. Does that make him a Parkinson's expert? Okay. His LinkedIn profile can say something like that. I have a LinkedIn profile that says, I'm an astronaut. Does that make me an astronaut? Let's talk about the other medical schmoes. Again, we have a cardiologist. A cardiologist visiting somebody in their 80s who we really do not want to have a heart attack right now or ever. And Dr. John E. Atwood, Walter Reed Medical Center is strongly associated with everything involving the President of the United States having a cluster of doctors to treat them under every condition. Look up Walter Reed and reference to presidents. Yes, including that incident you might be thinking of immediately if you're probably watched this channel way too much. So anyway, they visited the personal medical unit and residence clinic for the White House. Basically, that would be associated with Biden. But who did they meet? Biden? That's what you'd have to say. They met Biden. The only thing claimed is they met his physician. Joe Biden has a doctor named Kevin O'Connor. Okay. He's an Army flight surgeon and master flight surgeon as of 2010, who was previously a 1992 New York Institute of Technology College of Osteopathic Medicine graduate, and had also graduated a university with a biology major and a theology minor that was funded through ROTC. It's an osteopath. So they visited an osteopath. How old is the osteopath? Is the osteopath who's working for the president legally obligated to get examined by a cardiologist and a neurologist from Walter Reed? We refuse to discuss this subject because of privacy reasons. Excuse me. No, shut up. Okay. Let's try this. What have I said? It's none of your damn business. If his proctologist shows up, do you want a photographic tour of his ass? I can get it to you. I can lock you in a chair with your eyes pinned open and make you watch. If you're over 80, goddamn, if you're over 50, not me yet, you're going to have a proctologist because you're going to want one. Human beings did live into their 50s and 80s in the long past. It wasn't 35, shut up about that meme. But human beings living a long time gain damage. Let's talk about Parkinson's. What are the most common things that would impair decision making or just impair mental capabilities? The ones that come up when you look it up, and this is just me Googling it, this is not real. Parkinson's patients have suboptimal decision-making capability if they're exposed to ambiguous data. They're impaired by their lack of the ability to recall prior knowledge. That sounds like a mental issue. And then you have to read the rest of the article where it talks about Parkinson's patients being so distracted and driven batshit crazy and exhausted from having to deal with the Parkinson symptoms, which involve not being able to control their limbs and sometimes not being able to control their voice. The closer the neurology is to the brain, the more likely it is to have problems or less. Case in point, how many of you have speech difficulties or speech defects or speech impediments? How many of you can say that with 5 of your front teeth missing? I can, because I'm missing my 5 front teeth. Not 4, not 6, 5. It couldn't be symmetrical, of course. I also have nerve damage from being electrocuted several times in some really gruesome ways and not dying from it. I'm in my now 56 or 50s, late 50s as they call it. I'm a middle-aged man, and I have enough scar tissue to make another human. My eyes go in 2 different directions because of a impact to the back of my head that affected my visual cortex. That and the fact that I'm just nearsighted. Far be it for me, if I was president, to have a cardiologist and a neurologist show up when I've had muscle twitches in the hand over the last X number of months because I'm relearning how to use my hands again. I've had to have therapy to get my hands working and to walk because I've had damage over my lifespan. Not to mention the speech defects I have from the things I've talked about. That and the fact that I have nerve damage to my face. Again, electricity. Also, being infected by viruses that attack my nervous system, which is atypical but does happen 1 in 500 times. The other thing is a tendency towards risky and reward-based behavior if you have Parkinson's. That doesn't describe Biden as well as it describes Trump. No, I don't think Trump has Parkinson's. I just think he's batshit crazy sometimes, but okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. He's not the president. Just like it doesn't matter if Joe Biden's son is batshit crazy, which he is. but is Joe Biden demonstratively insane? That can be an opinion you can choose to push one way or another. I'm not here for that. Why is the news sources that are talking about Parkinson's and Joe Biden refusing to acknowledge that if there's a voluntarily posted White House visitor log, why aren't you giving a link to it? Why can't we look at it? They're not hiding it, apparently. Did they post it every month and then erase it and replace it with a new one? That would mean it would be on archive.org under some subset like whitehouse.gov, whatever. Is there one for when Trump was in office? Did he hide anything? You don't like that statement? I don't know if he did or didn't. I don't care. I don't think it matters. An 81-year-old person has a doctor at his workplace, and that doctor was visited by an expert in movement disorders. Therefore, a doctor visiting a doctor means that this patient over here, who may not have even met him, suddenly has Parkinson's because that doctor you're talking about is associated with studies of early phase Parkinson's disease on one characteristic. Okay. Now, do I believe that Joe Biden has Parkinson's? He's not showing any of the classic symptoms of Parkinson's. He isn't. Michael J. Fox showed early warning symptoms of Parkinson's. Some of them involved his ability to speak, but it was, as he said, it was exhausting dealing with the symptoms, and it would make me distracted, and I'd forget what I was saying. And being an actor, that's very bad, and they went on and on and on. So what happens is, what actually happened? The New York Times or whatever doesn't like the president. Looks for anybody in the visitor logs because they get desperate, and looks for anybody visiting that is a doctor or a specialist in any subject that has to do with brain function. Found one that did Parkinson's. All right, where's the visitor log for when Donald Trump said he was tested with that really hard test that is given to people to make sure they really just have cognitive impairment when it's pretty obvious? I mean, the test Donald Trump was proud of being able to pass is something that you have to be able to pass to be considered functional. It just means he's proud that he isn't completely a blithering idiot. Do we have logs when he was visited? No, all of them. Even the logs of when people visited that we're not supposed to know about because those were dirty deals done dirt cheap. High voltage. Now, why am I doing this video? I know personally, like a lot of you do, a couple of people who have Parkinson's. It's not demonstrating any of the symptoms I've ever seen, and probably none that you've seen. Cognitive impairment isn't the same as not being able to pronounce words because you have nerve damage in your face from a virus, or in my case, electrical charges going through because I leaned against a high voltage source. It was only 500 volts or something like that. I don't remember much about that day, obviously. Joe Biden has a speech defect caused by who knows what. Now, I'm going to bring up one example. I know personally one or two people that have slurred speech because they had a wisdom tooth removed and it broke some of the nerves in their mouth, so they can't feel the inside of their mouth. I couldn't feel the inside of my jaw for about 3 weeks. I wasn't able to speak because that feedback loop was gone, and I bit my tongue so many times I can't even count. I'm lucky my tongue hasn't had to be surgically fixed again. The point I'm making here is that is probably what's affecting Joe Biden. And yeah, dealing with that is extremely exhausting because you have to keep minding where your tongue is using the nerves that are functional and still speak and not be frustrated. If any of you have ever gone through learning how to walk again or learning how to use your arms again or learning how to speak again, I've done all three, you will know how absolutely mind-buggeringly frustrating it is to just try to fix these problems. Joe Biden needs speech therapy. Badly. I think he's too proud to do it. He's had this problem most of his existence. It's just gotten worse over the years. But that's not a sign of Parkinson's. That's just a sign of being a stubborn old bastard. He's an old man. Him getting visited by a cardiologist and a neurologist supposedly 8 times without anybody posting that list of logs, 8 times in 8 months, that's a monthly checkup because he's nervous about something medically that might have been a problem. Or maybe he was just checking for long COVID. Joe Biden has long COVID. So does Trump. You ever think of that? Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. No, I don't like Trump, but let's keep things real here. Bye.